Hi everybody, Bennett Fitch here with Noria Corporation. I'm here with Lisa Williams with Amatec Spectro Scientific.
Hi there.
So today I want to talk a little bit about predictive maintenance and how it may lack a little bit of precision in what we're getting out of our data, specifically with oil analysis. That's what Amatec Spectro really does well. So to get us started, you mind sharing us a little bit about what to expect here?
Yeah, I think we're in kind of a new realm of oil analysis with what we're going to talk about today. And what we've really been looking at in the past is how we've been very good at establishing trends, for the past 5, 10, 20 oil samples. We've looked at the trend, but and been able to predict the future in a way that, okay, this might happen at some point, based on an iron level being high or an acid number changing quite rapidly. But we've never been at the point where we've said, based on the information that we have available to us now and all of the mathematical models that we have kind of backing us up now with AI, we haven't ever been able to forecast when exactly do we have to take another oil sample and when exactly is that oil going to fail. And that's kind of this new realm of oil analysis that we're walking into now.
Well, for those of you listening and familiar with maybe some of Amatec Spectro Scientific's products, there's software as well, TrueView 360.
Yes.
There's something called Fluid IQ that we're going to be seeing pretty soon here related to all this.
That's right.
So let's jump into that with some questions.
Sure.
So here's a question, how does forecasting models differ from, let's say, traditional oil analysis methods in predicting, let's say, an optimal oil change interval?
Right. So to date, you and I have looked at dozens of oil analysis reports, if not hundreds, and we're always kind of looking back. Not kind of, we are. Yeah. We're looking back. We're taking that sample, we're getting that information, that data that is generated from that sample has already happened. And we're looking at trends and we're looking for things that have deviated from that trend so that we can take action and really try to predict when that piece of equipment is going to fail. Typically, we're calling that more of a diagnostic. So with this new technology and the AI component and just the mathematical models that are available for us now that weren't even available for us 5, 10 years ago, we're really able to aggregate all of that data, not just from a company standpoint or a location or a site, but from a cloud-based standpoint of all different kinds of data, and be able to predict and forecast when that oil needs to be sampled and then when that oil is going to need to be changed.
So you say maybe we'll be putting the word predict in predictive maintenance.
And we've used that word.
I know.
We've used that word my entire career. And I feel like we're there. And we're actually there, and we're utilizing AI to actually predict.
That's great. Training data is tricky. I know that firsthand, and just putting it into practice manually can be tough. So what are some of the main challenges, let's say a maintenance technician or someone working with this data may face today when trying to forecast oil drain intervals and plan for overhauls using oil analysis data?
It's a real challenge, and the reasons being is there's not a lot of standardization around this topic. I know when I was involved with writing several different kinds of recommendation documents, ICML 55.2, for example, and even earlier than that, when somebody would say, what should my sampling recommendations be? I would say, do a sampling study, and oftentimes we don't have time as maintenance professionals to do a sampling study. I'm sure people have done it, and it can be done, but now we're kind of moving into this realm of, if we can't do a sampling study, just put it as quarterly, and we'll start there. And there's safety in that, but also the risk of that is we could be oversampling. But not only that, we could be undersampling. We just really don't know. So either one of those, we don't want to be in that camp. So what TrueView 360 Fluid IQ is doing, it's saying, okay, this is when you actually have to take your next sample, whether that be time or whether that be distance, utilizing data from the past, utilizing those mathematical models and behavior, we can actually pinpoint when that sample needs to be taken and then when that oil's going to fail.
Yeah, for all too long now, we've always said go quarterly or go monthly with your samples, and it seems arbitrary. We need something that's a little more accurate. And you're right, there isn't a lot of standards out there to work with to give us confidence there. I think that's what this is about, is helping give confidence
Of course.
to those involved. How does AI-powered, real-time, on-site oil analysis empower non-experts to make effective maintenance decisions?
I think that it's important to know that TrueView 360 is already a very powerful system as it stands now. And it's a closed loop system as it stands now. And I think that the way that we can look at this new technology being added to TrueView 360 is we are expanding the ability of TrueView 360, but the user already has the ability right now, as TrueView 360 is they take the sample, they can generate the data. There's already alarm sets that are programmed in. There's already diagnostic statements that evaluate when those alarm sets are triggered that populate on the final report. And you already have the ability to put in a maintenance note and cost savings and kind of close that loop of how effective was the data. But now we're taking it one step further, and you're still doing all of that and getting all of that information. But then you have this additional forecasting tool that looks at when the oil needs to be sampled again and when the oil is going to fail.
Yeah. You use that word prognostic. That's trying to look forward, really see what's going to happen. And you're right, TrueView 360 has been powerful. It's been used for quite a while, and you're expanding on that. You're making it more powerful, almost turning it into more of an easy button so that
That's right.
you can see what we need to do, a yes or a no.
That's right.
What are the risks associated with extending oil drain intervals without proper monitoring, and how do prognostic tools here mitigate those risks?
Right. I think it's a scary thing to kind of not be looking into the future but not have data to help you make those decisions. It's kind of like going to the doctor and you're skip your physical and you don't really know where you are, but you need to have that information in order to be like, okay, I'm going to skip my physical this year because I just had blood work done 2 weeks ago and I'm okay, so maybe I'll extend that physical out a little bit longer. I mean, it's kind of the same concept. If you have the information at hand and you're able to say, okay, condition of the oil is good now, then okay, I feel a little bit more comfortable extending that drain interval out. But if you don't have the data and you're just kind of flying blind into extending those intervals, it's risky, definitely risky.
Yeah, we need good data points, and we have several in a row that are good data points, or good data at least showing. That's important because it gives us a better confidence on when that bad data point shows up.
Exactly.
And we can make a decision based on that. I like to use the analogy with your own human health. There's so much here. These are assets we're taking care of. The better we maintain them, the longer they're going to last.
Right.
What is the next frontier for forecasting in oil analysis, particularly regarding to, let's say, remaining useful life estimations and risk-based condition monitoring?
Yeah, I think that eventually, I think we're going to live in this space for a while because it's taken us a really long time to get here. So I think we're going to live in this space for a while. And I also think our industry is very much likes that human component. I think we're going to live here for a little bit, but I think that in the future what we're seeing is possibly self-diagnosis of equipment. We're already kind of moving into that with sensor technology, but a lot of self-diagnosis, being able to generate work orders automatically, kind of moving into that space where there's not so much hands-on. But one of the things that I think is really important about oil analysis AI and this whole next gen kind of thing that's rising here is it all takes the human component to generate these models. So it's still, we're we're looking at data points piece by piece and saying this makes sense, that doesn't make sense, and it still requires some human eye to be like that's not making sense, so we need to backtrack. So I think there's still a component of that where we're going to live here for a little bit longer.
I agree. I don't think we want to blindly trust a algorithm or any technology, including AI, until we feel that it can communicate to us why it's a practical decision to be made.
Yeah, so this model has been beta tested on a few of our customers, a few of our larger customers that are utilizing our software. And one of our companies that is down in South America, and they probably run on the realm, I would say between 800 and 900 samples a month. One of our very, I would say, super users, very educated about oil analysis and the benefits of it. But what we found was we did a study with them, and we found that over half of their engines, they could have extended their sampling intervals. They were sampling too frequently. And just kind of putting those numbers in and realizing, even if you estimate that an oil sample is costing you in time and labor and in actually taking the sample and running it $60, that it adds up.
Absolutely.
And so I always like to say to customers when they're justifying their programs, like, these are the numbers that matter. Like, at the end of the day, when you're going up and having to report to upper management to justify your program, to say you've met your KPIs, these are the numbers that matter. And being able to say with confidence, with data, that we were able to either extend oil drains or minimize the numbers of samples that we were taking, I feel like these are the things that management smiles about.
Yeah, absolutely. We're using the tools the right way to help us build confidence. I think to sum all this up, that's what this is about, is having confidence in our data so we can make the right decisions. Using data the way it should be used to give us a prediction of what's coming up ahead.
We are truly at that point, truly predictive maintenance, and it's neat. It's really neat to see.
So it comes down to just making smarter decisions before the problems ever really happen.
Exactly.
So if you're interested in learning more, definitely check out TrueView 360 Fluid IQ in the link below. Thank you again for this great conversation, Lisa.
Thank you.